This is the longest training run I've ever completed in my life. 37 kilometers through the hills and heat in the island of Jersey in the Channel Islands, in between the UK and France. I'm here visiting family for very personal, sad reasons, which I'll probably go into maybe in another video. Today, I want to talk about this one shift in mindset that completely changes your long run, changes your marathon prep to make it so much easier to complete the distance. Let's get into it. Now, before we do so, I've done a clean shave. As I said, I'm visiting family at the moment. I didn't have my beard trimmer. This is riveting stuff, I know. But I just feel completely naked, and now even my own girlfriend is looking at me oddly. However, in this video, I wanted to do another Berlin Marathon training update. If you saw my last video, I'm going for a 2:39 in just 3 weeks' time. I said back then that the training wasn't going so well and I feel way off the mark. However, we've had a few sessions since then and we are definitely gaining some adaptations. We hit our longest ever run of 37K as mentioned in the intro. And here is the strategy that's massively helped over these last few days. So firstly, I would like to explain what this new approach is. So previously, and I've done 2 marathons in the past, I would do my long run as a session. And I mentioned the benefits of this in my last video. However, in this prep for Berlin, I've moved my long run session during the week. And then on the weekend, I've just focused on time on feet. And this has been a complete game changer. Now, let me explain why. Firstly, you of course need the intensity, right? You need to have the intensity throughout the week. You need to be running faster than marathon pace. You need to be running at marathon pace for long durations after your legs are incredibly tired. But I've since moved my marathon sessions to Thursday, Friday, for example, and one to try at home. I'm doing this week 10 kilometers at marathon pace. Then we're doing 10 times 1 min on, 1 min off, faster than marathon pace, a bit slower than marathon pace to fatigue the legs, closing out at 5K at marathon pace. So it's a 20-kilometer session, highly effective. But on the weekend, I will simply just do a 30+K long run. And given that I'm back home, there's a lot of heat, hills, roads, cars, spoken about many times, probably me just complaining. But it just means that I'll say, okay, let's go out for 2.5 hours. Don't worry about the pace, don't worry about the heart rate, just keep it a controlled, steady effort. Now, this is really important because what you'll find is your body is naturally very good at just finding a rhythm, finding your stride, and controlling the effort for the full duration. Whereas previously, and even a few weeks ago, I attempted a long run here when I first arrived, and all I did was, right, I've got to hit a certain pace. I was gonna do a 3x10K session, end up arriving at the bottom of this monster hill, me looking up thinking, am I gonna hit marathon pace there? No. I still tried to go faster than I probably should have done, maxed out my effort, heart rate through the roof, and long behold, I had to cut the long run short. So what I did instead, I just told myself, right, on the weekends, we're gonna do some crazy routes. I don't know where I'm going, just round the island, and I'm gonna run for 2.5 hours minimum. And that way I know that I'm gonna bank around 35 kilometers. Hopefully with my time goal, I know that this translates to the distance that I'm going to be running in the full marathon. So for example, if you're going to run a 3.5 hour marathon, you probably want your steady long runs for 3.5 hours, 36, 37 kilometers. This just means that you can practice your fueling. You know that your legs can withstand the distance and that length of time. And the aerobic foundation you build is incredible. Like, think of the aerobic capacity you need to run for that long, right? There is incredible stimulus there, and it's certainly something that I missed out on the previous prep. So here's the approach. When you set up your watch, you can actually just have, I have the Coros Pace 3, but you can just literally have the time split and that's it. So you could even use a Casio if you really wanted to. But this means that there's no heart rate, no pace splits. You're not thrown off by the effort level of, oh, my heart rate's too high or I'm going too slow. You literally just think, right, this is the duration I'm running for. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna run so far away from my house that I have to run back. I have no choice. And the result is you get it done, right? You complete the effort and you build that confidence that you need for the full marathon distance. Now, another huge benefit to this is you don't know how you're gonna feel on a given day. Yes, I do believe you need to have pace targets for certain sessions. Your body needs to gain the adaptations, but you don't know the fatigue you're gonna accumulate. You don't know how much sleep you're going to get the night before. Your recovery could be off. You could be out for a meal with the missus. You could be not eating so well, nutrition off. All these factors. And imagine you marry yourself to one set specific per second, kilometer or mile pace, and you don't hit that. Of course, you're going to be thrown off. And it turns out then you're going to get to the end of your marathon prep and you're going to probably have completed less long runs than you would have liked. So this new strategy means that the pressure is off. You focus on the time, and that way you know you're going to get it done, and then the quality is delivered throughout the week. In the next segment, what I'm going to do, I am going to go through and take you somewhere else, my current marathon session since the last video, which if you haven't watched, go watch it, and talk through the specific adaptations that I'm looking to build, why I think my progress is improving. So I'll take you along with me. Let's go. Okay, so let's get into it. I've brought my laptop. We're going to go through these sessions since the last video and explain why my confidence has increased, not by loads, but by somewhat. So after the last video, we went through the session that I completed, which was the over-under session, which is a really good one to do to gain the adaptations. Again, to fatigue the legs, build the lactic acid in the muscles, going faster than marathon pace, and then cruising with a continuous rest, slightly slower than marathon pace, averaging across the whole session at your target goal race pace. Since then, I did a easy run, 16K across the east coast of the island here, nice and controlled. And then a really confident track session where, again, now that I'm moving to the latter stages towards marathon prep, what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of continuous running rather than just hitting the splits I need and doing static rests. I'm either doing like a very light walk or jog recovery to then build into the next set. So this session that we did on the track was 1K 2x500, 1K 2x500, so sort of a VO2 max focus session, way faster than even my 5K pace on the 500s, around about 5K pace on the 1Ks, and we felt pretty good. For the 1Ks, I averaged 322, 23, and for the 500s, we averaged around 312 with 430 kilometers recovery. Averaging the session, actually, what I want to hit for the marathon. So I need 3 45-minute kilometers to get a 239, sub 240 in Berlin. So again, a lot of confidence boosted there, where I didn't feel too cooked afterwards, and it was nice and fairly controlled. I then, after the session, decided to just do like a 1K flat out somewhat. Managed a 310, I think it was like a 311 on the watch, but I thought I was going to go quicker, I can't lie. I was aiming for like a 305, but I guess straight after the session the legs were fairly fatigued. I then did another easy run to see out the week, which was on the Saturday, 12.5K. It wasn't easy, actually, when I remember it now. It was seriously hot, and I probably went a little bit too quick. This meant that the fatigue level was far too high for my attempted long run the next day, which meant bad news. I had to have a down mileage graph, and then on the bank holiday Monday is when I completed the 37K. So that's the longest training run I've ever done. Previously in marathon preps, I'll do around 34, max 35 if it's broken up, but this was completely steady throughout the effort. The conditions were difficult, there was elevation. I stopped maybe once or twice for water, but was very happy with that effort. And then we went into the session yesterday, which was 4K tempo into 5x1K. So this was my one session of the week, which is faster than marathon pace. I'll make sure that I'm doing my long run, my interval session faster than marathon pace, my long tempo effort at target marathon pace. So doing anywhere between 12K to 15K straight at the target race pace. And then I will do a targeted marathon session, which will be like 20, 25K of volume. And then the long run, which again, I'll do around 2 hours on the weekend. Interestingly, I actually have a half marathon race next week, so I'll try and video what I can, or maybe just chat through the actual race and how it goes. But it is very risky, only a couple weeks out from Berlin. However, I do want a nice shiny new PB. So a full send is approaching. Make sure to see how I get on by subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.